Hi! Welcome to the catch up.
Every week, Andy and I discuss what to talk about, and we always if anyone has a thing that we want to talk about, we'll bring that up. And then this week, both of us were like, there's nothing really that I feel
Quiet
worth
week
talking
quiet
about.
week.
So Jack, our producer, said, why don't y'all just talk about a whole bunch of really nonsense headlines that have made the headlines this week. And then she compiled us this list, and I thought it was quite funny. So
Let's just say
go
light-hearted news.
That's a nice way of putting it. I mean, can I just say that?
Nonsense news.
Yeah, man breaks up with girlfriend after she throws away his Demon Slayer figurines.
Yeah.
Really?
That really got me.
Headline?
Actually, that caught my attention. It's a very clickbaity because first Demon Slayer, it's very, very popular right now. And it actually broke box office in Japan. It's their highest rated movie during COVID.
Okay.
Just that itself got me lah.
I was really sorry, but no one cares.
I think this is a solid headline for a tabloid or a lifestyle section. Quite solid. I approve. I approve.
You approve? Really?
I approve this one, yeah. I approve
How
this
about the Thai protesters eat mookata during protests at Democracy Monument in Bangkok? I mean, I did have a look at the picture because it was funny. I was like, wow. But this made the headlines, really?
Yeah. It did. And I'm sure it probably got more clicks than a lot of other more important news. But yeah, it do let people know that there are protests have happening in Bangkok right now.
But we know that already. I guess they needed a different angle to it.
Maybe, okay. Are we going to go into this conversation of what is news, right? We can go there later.
Okay, we'll go there later.
Yeah.
Let me go through a few more. The Indian bride who wore a pantsuit to her wedding. Really? Why is it worth news?
Because it's basically saying that society is being more progressive and Indian weddings are the biggest weddings in the world. For someone to be able to wear a pantsuit and be celebrated, I think that's okay. I approve that also. And the bride quite pretty so can.
I knew it was that. Then there was this one, but this one caught my attention. Brazen wild boar raids female cyclist bicycle basket for delicious contents in Pulau Ubin.
Yeah.
Because I do go to Pulau Ubin and I was like, whoa, that is one very not scared wild boar.
Well, I think I will also be quite worried if a wild boar is coming at me. Yeah, but it's quite cool, the video.
Oh my gosh, this one is funny. In this list of rubbish headlines, right, the producer put, Andy Chen is now a stay-home dad in Taiwan and he thinks it's his calling.
We talked about that earlier. I think she's just being nice, by including us.
I was miserable how Jade left TV and found happiness.
I actually went to read that. It's a podcast you did with me, right?
Yeah.
So I read it. I mean, most of the stuff you told me before already. But the word found happiness on social media was difficult for me.
I mean, they need to sell content Also,
that's not a quote, right? But it's also true It's true in a way, right? Because you basically social media gave you a platform to be yourself and be a personality. You are doing what you want to do, right? So in a way, it's true. And I'm sure that has been the case for many, many people as well.
It's just the way people like to write headlines, right? So, but I was like, okay. I mean, in the crux of it, that article was true. It's just the way they choose headlines.
Then there is the usual, older celebrities, and then they resurface with your photo, and then that becomes news. That's always news. Now it's a Joey Wong. She is crowned as the most gorgeous human being ever.
Really?
Kind of girl. Yeah. There's a few Yeah. And then there's also Madonna, right? Showing off her very smooth, good looking skin.
It's literally my mom's age. But yeah, that is one very smooth forehead, I gotta say.
Yeah, but also a bit scary looking, right?
I mean, she is 62
Her face is very scary. Okay, look, would you rather this face than maybe a more normal, more crinkly and less, I guess, surgically improved face?
I guess you can't win, right? Because when people don't do stuff to their face, celebrities, then the headline is, oh my gosh, she looks so old. Why didn't she maintain herself? But then after that, then you have Madonna looking 62 but going on 35, and then you're like, what? So I don't know. I mean, I think for me, it's really honestly on this. You do you. If you feel good at 62 having 0 lines, then that's cool. If you're cool, just letting it all hang out, that's cool too.
That's true. And she's Madonna. I'm sure she is under a lot of immense pressure to constantly look like a virgin.
Wow, you're loving it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she's constantly under pressure to always look good. She's like one of the biggest star in history, right?
Like all these headlines that she sent over, right, our producer, it just begs the question, like, what is fake news or nonsense? Because to be honest, right, I don't know if people know this, but when I really started creating content online, and I don't mean just like the media, when I started writing and stuff, it was because I was working with Mothership at the time. I had friends who said, Mothership, the one with fake news. I'm like, actually, none of their news is fake. Honestly, everything that they write about is real and is fact checked, and they're actually quite serious about that. But they write it in a very, I guess, like fun way, right? That, to the point where, I mean, like the Wild Ball article, I think was taken off Mothership, to the point where people are like,
quite a
is
lot
that
of
fake
our
news? Is it nonsense?
not fake
Yeah.
news.
I mean, how do you feel when you read about news like that? Like that you feel doesn't matter to you?
Honestly, I'm very, very frustrated with the state of news around the world, not just in Singapore. And I mean, I know social media has done some good, but in my mind, like social media has completely destroyed news media, if you ask me. And it's very, very frustrating because I'm finally coming of age where I really want to read news and opinions from like good people, and I can't find it anywhere. I'm even talking about things like New York Times, CNN, SCMP, whatever lah. All these big news outlets which I used to for a period of time like trust completely. Like they have lost my trust completely now. It's like I cannot find anywhere else where I can look for proper news. Then I go online and I try and look for independent journalists which have a certain amount of credentials, right? But I also can't be sure what they're saying is completely true or they are one person, right? Research. So I'm in this very frustrated state, and it doesn't help when like news like that, like it's the line is so blurred, right? Like when you have like a headline like famous Kyoto fire ramen opens at Sydney Leisure, that's like a news, right? And that's obviously a marketing thing, right?
They even added 1-for-1 in the headline. Someone paid for that, lah. Okay.
Yeah, we can't be 100% sure, but I am 90% sure. Like it's probably like a paid job, right? Like I follow a Mothership because they have a lot of very valuable stuff. But like with it also comes these things. And I don't have an option to subscribe. I don't have any other option. So like this has been on my mind for a very long time. What do you think?
It's almost like news outlets have to almost be more tabloidy in their delivery. I mean, even like, okay, I would say that, let's just take the one, like the article, right? So whatever I said in the podcast are my words because it's a podcast, but you can't change that. But then when they translated it to text, the gist of it was definitely what I said, but they also have to take a slightly more tabloidy stance. And this is CNA, right? The boring, traditional way of reporting just doesn't get the same engagement and attention as it used to. I mean, headlines are always, that's what they're for, is to grab attention. But I feel like now you have to go one step further to get attention, and that's going with a more tabloidy stance, right? And I feel, I don't know, I mean, it's just the way that it's moved. And then in terms of like the Kyoto one, there's also one on McDonald's. Then it's a matter of like, is it ethical to use news that looks like that to market your company product service? I mean, that's the question. But to be really honest, like we do it too on social media, or I admit that I'm not going to be saying, wow, you should do that.
We don't hide it under something that is not, right?
I definitely will say, like, I will hashtag sponsored post or SP so people know, right? But then not everyone does that. And then it's one of those, like, I'm not going to pretend that I don't also take this off advertising dollars to put it on social media, right? So in the same way, like I definitely am not criticizing like anyone from Mothership to the New York Times for taking money to like say promote like a Kyoto ramen shop, but I think that the line has to be clear. At the end, there must be a byline that says like this is a paid promotion. I think that's important. Oh, by the way, I finally watched The Social Dilemma.
How do you feel?
Yeah,
Nightmare.
Yeah, I think something that was said by one of the people on the show is like, you can't really stop the machine. Like I said, even someone like CNA, they have to take a slightly more tabloidy stance these days, because if not, you're going to be lost in a sea of like content and clutter. But end of the day, it's still inevitable. So I think it's also the onus.
Is it though?
Yeah, I mean, I feel so. I mean, I feel the onus is also on us as consumers, as readers, to read things and take it with a pinch of salt. I have friends who will like pass along very tabloidy stuff or very like clickbaity articles, like they'll forward it, and sometimes I cannot help it. No, I'll just tell them, guys, don't believe 100% of everything you read. Like take everything with a pinch of salt, because you must understand that they put these things out for free someone needs to pay them. I think people also
Exactly.
forget. Yeah, you don't. I mean, don't just believe it wholesale. Like check it out, fact check it on another
But
against
who has
other.
time to check everything, right? I feel like there's a few issues lah. So one issue is like if it's a marketing thing, I do feel that especially if you're a news outlet, like maybe don't like you. I think the consumers have a right to know what they're consuming lah. Basically, like if it's an ad, it's an ad. If it's paid, it's paid. I understand that there are other forces and everything, but I personally would like it that it's clearer. Second thing is that like I'm also very disturbed by because of the way social media is. Like a lot of news outlet has to do like you say like more and more very clickbaity topics and more and more very frivolous topics, even though they are not known to do that. I follow some news outlets because I like some of the content they do, but then I also have to be exposed to a lot of content that they don't usually do, but they do now because for the clickbait lah. It's like putting something very not nice in your lunch. You know what I mean? Like eating then
like vegetables.
Yeah, I did. Not really. Like why is this thing in like I didn't order this? Why is this in my plate? Right. So that makes it very distasteful, and then it makes the whole social media experience even more uncomfortable lah.
But I gotta say, like the putting something in my plate, like for me would be vegetables. Like I'm eating fried rice and it's yummy, and then suddenly I'm like, why is there a pea? Right. I think the point is you didn't pay for it. I just want to highlight that point. Like
so that's my second point. It's this whole change of business model, right? We used to pay 60 cents for our newspaper, and then like now it's like free. People want it free, right?
Yeah.
But do people really want it free? I'm not sure lah. So and then like it's like it feels like we are stuck in a state whereby news media outlets cannot find a proper business order, so they are selling their integrity instead. This is how it feels like, right? So because like for example, The Guardian or New York Times, like you read 2 articles and then or something like you pop out and then you read it, and then it's like subscribe to read the whole thing, or like Straits Times, like read, and then I'm like, huh? Like I want to read one article, I have to pay like $6.99 for like 12 months. Like it doesn't make sense. Like nobody's gonna do that. Also, that doesn't work. Then they go into the clickbaity things lah. But isn't there a middle ground? Like I do think that this journalist has to be paid. Someone has to be paid, and they deserve to be paid if they are doing a good job, right? So, do you want to keep eating free rubbish, or do you actually want to pay for news? I would pay for news individually. Like if this article I want to read, I would pay. Like for example, like now you double tap on like Apple Store or something, like you double tap on your social media and then it pays like maybe 39 cents or something, like 9 cents even, to read one article. Because that's what happened, right? Like in the past, like when you buy a newspaper, you don't read everything, right? Like sometimes you only read 2 pages even. And that's how with music album in the past, we used to buy 10 songs when we only want to listen to 1 or 2. But then that changed because we only want what we want. It doesn't mean that we want free and rubbish for free. I think we want what we want and we don't want what we don't want. So we only want to pay for the things we want. And I think we need to come up with a way that we can pay for what we want. Like if it's a good article and I will actually recognize the brand, I'll recognize the reporter, and this will increase their credential and I'll pay for them. And I really think like if you grow up reading all these things, right? What kind of shit are you putting in your body and your mind?
I have to like agree with some of what you said. Like I definitely think if you pay for it, right? And I like the food analogy. It's like if someone gave you a free meal every day, but you couldn't pick what you want to eat, right? But you can't really complain because it's free. I'd rather go like to the hawker center and order, okay, not the healthiest, but bak chor mee because it makes me happy, right? Then maybe I can complain lah. So I like your idea. I think it's a bit idealistic though. I feel like people when you say do people want to pay, I'm telling you, people don't want to pay.
No, the people want to pay.
Like I use like video editing apps, right? And I actually pay a small premium because I feel like this is a good, like I mean I have Premiere Pro, right, for my computer, but like when I'm just editing simple stuff on my like phone, I use like a simple app, right? And I think it's a good app and it's less than $10, but people complain. They're like, you pay like money for an app? I'm like, but it's actually pretty well made. It's like very easy to use and people just don't want to pay. Even if it's like $1, they just feel
I feel like that's changing because I think I'm not the only one that's realizing like, oh wow, I've been eating trash for a really long time. Even just reading through all these things, right? I went on to click a lot of rubbish there. I was like, I realized I'm reading. Hey, what am I reading? Because these forces are so powerful. It's like you watch Social Dilemma, right? It's even me knowing it, aware of it. I can't control myself. I'm constantly shoving basically fast food into my brain non-stop 24/7. And I've been trying to detox my social media so hard. I've been unfollowing so many people. I still get all these things and I still get trapped in that freaking rabbit hole of like junk food in my brain. And that really, really scares me. Like, how about people that are not more aware?
It is a good point, and like I do think that it's shifting. It's so funny because we started out paying 60 cents for newspapers, right?
Yeah.
Then, like, unfortunately, we old farts. We're old enough to know this, right? But then, like, for the kids, like they for them, the Straits Times, for example, has always been free. And who reads papers? They're like, oh, if you want, you can subscribe to Straits Times online. But everyone's like, who does that? But then now, right, I do feel like even things like, okay, like for example, I make YouTube videos. Now, like Patreon is coming up slowly in the US more, but I think hopefully in Singapore where you make videos and people pay to watch your videos, like so it's a bit more like pay per view. And I think slowly that we are moving a little bit towards that model. So hopefully for news as well, not just video, it will work in that direction too. It might.
I think it will. I'm hopeful, but I'm just worried that the news media outlets won't even survive to then. The good journalist is gone, the good ethics are gone, and then by the time they want to go back, they don't have the talent anymore. They don't have they don't have that anymore in them. That's just not the game anymore.
So bleak.
Yeah,
okay,
but
I believe that it'll move faster than we think, and that talent, like good journalism and stuff, will translate depending. I mean, they've translated from like physical papers to digital. They will just have to adapt, evolve, and the good ones will still translate. I believe that. But we want to hear what you think as well. Drop us a line below to let us know, like, would you pay? Would you want to have to pay for your news? Like what Andie said, like to get good news, would you pay to watch, to read?
If it's delivered to you and the payment system is very simple, I think that's key. You're paying, but it's convenient. It's very easy, like a click of a button. Will you pay for like proper news?
In the meantime, Andie, hopefully we'll see you in the news.
No lah. I'm like the person with the least credit. Don't listen to me if I'm the news. Don't believe me. Don't trust anything I say.
She asked the question, how do you feel when you get featured on news outlets?
I'm happy lah. I'm thankful lah. Like people actually care, and I'm thankful to the whatever outlet that is doing it. But I'm also thinking like, 真的有人要看咩? like do people even really care? Like I'm not newsworthy lah.
That's literally like how I felt about social media when it first started. Okay. I was like, because I started Twitter, I'm like, so I tweet that I'm eating bak chor mee. Does anyone care?
Jade, no.
Bye. Okay. Stay safe.
All right, guys.
Read good news and see you guys next week.
All right, man.